Hello everyone. As you can probably assume from the title and thumbnail of this video, I was not particularly thrilled when I was handed the case file for today's investigation. This is my second case on the job. I consider myself a professional and I mean, what is this? Why? What, was there another argument on DeviantArt again? Just blow an air horn at them, they don't like loud noises. Alas, some of my higher-ups were not particularly thrilled with the conclusion of my last investigation, and thus have saddled me with something they deemed more trivial, whilst they go off and solve the big cases like Bowser Jr.'s mother and Tetsuya Nomura's writing credentials. I had been greatly unenthused with the job I had been given until, in the preliminary stages of my investigation, I discovered the internet's latest craze. Pokemon Smash or Pass. Countless highly viewed videos in which various internet personalities debate which fictional animals they would or would not have intimate relations with. As a detective, my job is twofold. I aim to solve mysteries and, by consequence, keep the streets safe. If this trend is allowed to continue, it has the potential to poison our youth, paralyse social progress, and burn down our beautiful internet culture, and thus I now find great noble purpose in this seemingly most farcical of cases. I intend to quell this fad before it truly galvanises with a method I believe to be super effective. I'm going to close the debate here and now. Today, I will leave the YouTubers no room for discussion. I'm going to use my detective skills, my research acumen, and even some insight from some friends to tell you, as close to objectively as possible, who is the sexiest Pokemon, so that the youth of tomorrow may never have to be subjected to some of the Vaporeon discourse I suffered through. So hello to my fellow intrepid observers, I'm Detective Investigator Lyle Fudj, also known as the Video Game Detective. And yes, I may still have some reservations about the job today, but as likely as my parents may be to disown me for a video like this, they're infinitely more likely to disown me for shirking my obligations as a detective. Let's find the valour in today's endeavour and save our children from those dastardly miscreants on YouTube. Let's begin the investigation. Tackling an investigation like this at first seems so impossible it may as well have exclusively concerned ghost Pokemon. So I sought to compartmentalise the question at hand. In order to answer who the sexiest Pokemon is, we need to do two things. One, we need to be immersed in Pokemon discourse as a whole, particularly around what Pokemon are sexy. And two, we need to fundamentally understand what makes something sexy, Pokemon or not. And perhaps most importantly, we need to do these two things quickly. Only months from the release of this video, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will release. These games clearly seem to be set in a region based on Spain, and you know what that means. Yes. An inordinate amount of sexy Pokemon are coming. In the event that you're watching this video after these games have come out, I desperately hope you're living in a world in which they've left Lechonk well and truly alone. For my research, I first took a brave plunge into the dark tunnels of Reddit. The official Pokemon and Pokemon art subreddits were pleasant, but far too kosher for me to get any reads on sex appeal, and so I found myself using Dive in a truly dark spot. I immersed myself in the not safe for work Pokemon porn only subreddit, where fan art of many of the series' human characters was being posted. In my brief time there, two posts stuck out to me, however, one of them quite literally. The first, a poster asking, "I'm gonna draw porn. Who first, Curlier or Ordino?" The sole response reading, "Make a poll," though I'm unsure how a long, slender, rounded piece of wood or metal would assist in this endeavour. The second post, as you can see here, is a blurred image captioned, "Machamp training its trainer." I'm going to be honest with you here, I'm not going to show you this image. I will say that what I learned from my time in this subreddit is that there was a definite lean in this community towards human characters or humanoid characteristics in the Pokemon depicted, save for the occasional Bonsly image that I'm now talking to my therapist about. According to OBS Studio, my total time spent in this subreddit before projectile vomiting was 6 minutes and 23 seconds, pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. Next, I conducted a Twitter poll asking who my followers believed was the sexiest Pokemon. The responses to this poll provided some very interesting insight I'll be taking into account when presenting my findings later on. This poll remained up for precisely 34 minutes and 51 seconds before I remembered that some of my real life friends follow me on Twitter, got embarrassed, and deleted it. Next up was the old Google machine. I was curious to see what results would turn up if I simply typed sexiest Pokemon into search, and was drawn in particular to the top10s.com's top 10 sexiest Pokemon, as I'll be looking to narrow my list of suspects down to 10 by the end of this video. Here are some particularly salient quotes from various commenters vouching for their pick for most promiscuous pocket monster. One person commenting on number 8, Mewtwo, says, "Them pecs though, those chiseled cheeks and features. Bruh, I'm not gay, but bruh." Right above another comment that says, "Look at that waistline." And to be fair, I mean, that is a pretty impressive thigh gap. Another comment on number 5, Greninja, reads, "I always fangirl at the thought of having a bona fide Frog Prince Greninja carry me in his arms towards adventure. I feel like he'd be the most loyal and protective husbandmon ever. Extra points for having an extendable and a prehensile tongue that can wrap you up completely, X3. With another also stating, "I want him to wrap me in his tongue and slowly roll me into his stomach like a tortilla." Number 1 on this list is perennial favourite, Gardevoir. This entry provided some interesting comments, such as this one. "She is so cute and hot. She looks like a smart girl that wants sex. Her cooties are in very good shape. She really is so cute. Her face is sparkling candy. That's why she is so cute and sexy." And if you thought that one read like it came from a 2006 Sonic fanfiction, wait till you hear this. "Not only is Gardevoir a formidable force on the battlefield, if she is set up correctly, she is tremendously hot and is absolute eye candy. I adore her breasts. They are of perfect shape, just to be groped. I also just love her animations and her design. Every time I lay my eyes on her, I am in shock. I think to myself, Game Freak did a stellar job of designing her. As mentioned by previous commenters, her animations are wonderful. If only they were real, it would be such a blessing for this realm. But for now, Gardevoir can only linger in our imaginations. And frankly, I feel a great deal for her being trapped in there. I'm willing to bet she's terrified. I can only hope by now that it's become abundantly clear that this video's topic is one so degenerate that simply attempting to engage with internet discourse around it on any level is an exercise in exposing yourself to a revolving door of massive freaks. I'm about done using social media and message boards for this topic. I'm a lifelong Pokemon fan, and I think I can get the rest of the way myself. So, informed partially by what I've learned from the deepest recesses of the fandom, but informed more so by my own basic reasoning and deduction, allow me to present you my findings. One of the concrete pieces of information my regrettable internet searches have given me is that yes, the more humanoid a Pokemon appears in shape and in nature, the more prepared people are to just project sexuality onto them. It's concerning that they should do this to a creature that can only say its name and remember how to do 4 things at once, but some people have found some American people sexy for years now, so there is a precedent. We shouldn't get too caught up in physical appearance, however, because there are other factors to consider. The Pokemon's moves and abilities will give a lot of insight into their capabilities in the bedroom, and perhaps will illuminate some sexy tricks that they may have up their sleeves. And finally, it stands to reason that we need to take practicality into account. Roserade was listed at number 6 on the list we talked about previously, but something the commenters, who have likely never touched real grass in their lives, fail to take into account is that Roserade, being based on a rose, would be covered in thorns. Now there's some damage that Lemonade ain't doing shit about. With the criteria of appearance, move pool, and viability in mind, I believe I have narrowed 800 plus Pokemon down to a final lineup of 10 suspects. Before we meet these suspects, however, I want to talk about a figure in this investigation whose name has been rumoured but has been cleared of all charges. This thing. Ditto, as a Pokemon capable of transforming into and thus taking on the physical appearance and moveset of any other Pokemon, can breed with absolutely any other Pokemon that can breed. With this in mind, Ditto fits into more egg groups than any other Pokemon in existence. It's fair to say, Ditto gets around. If, in this video, I was attempting to find the sluttiest Pokemon, we'd have our winner already, but consider this. Whilst I personally am a huge advocate for slutty people living sexy lives of showing off what they've got, I must admit, Ditto's lifestyle robs it of a certain mystique. Having relations with Ditto wouldn't feel particularly special or intimate, because Ditto will have relations with quite literally anything. Furthermore, a lot is made of Ditto's ability to transform into any other Pokemon at will. However, in the games, which are far more canonical than the anime will ever be, it is frequently outlined by Pokédex entries and in-game mechanics that Ditto can only transform into what it currently sees. Pokemon Generation 3, Ditto rearranges its cell structure to transform itself into other shapes. However, if it tries to transform into something by relying on its memory, it will get details wrong. Pokemon Generations 4 through 6, it has the ability to reconstitute its entire cellular structure to transform into whatever it sees. Crucially, Pokemon Silver's Pokédex entry even claims its transformation ability is perfect. However, if it is made to laugh, it can't maintain its disguise. So, for all you 1-inch wonders out there, this one is dead on arrival. So keep in mind that if you intend to have Ditto transform into a particularly sexy Pokemon for you to have relations with, you will need that Pokemon to be present, and if that's the case, why would you not then just have relations with that Pokemon? I feel the need to clarify once again that this is all hypothetical and it's just for an investigation. Simply put, Ditto may hit a lot, but it doesn't hit like the rest of our contenders, and there's nothing sexy about a pink blob that could choose to transform into a passing Metang at any given moment and rip your genitals clean off. And with that matter well and truly put into daycare, it's finally time to put this cursed nightmare to an end. Here are the 10 Pokemon of 900 plus I've narrowed it down to. It's time to meet the suspects. Here are the final contenders for sexiest Pokemon. We're going to knock them out one by discussing their attributes, but then also what fails them and why they can't be the sexiest Pokemon until we have only one left, whom will thusly be coronated as our champion of creature coitus and catching them all. STDs, that is. Let's knock two out together, as they belong to a category that I find very hard to analyse. Lucario and Braixen appeal to a subset of fans with particular taste that I cannot say I relate to or understand. I suppose fur does have an inherent appeal, as it does make the creature in question quite cuddly, but then Lucario in particular immediately cancels this out by having a metal spike protruding from its chest. Getting spooned by Lucario would literally be more like getting knifed. Beyond this, there's nothing particularly sexy about either of these Pokemon's movesets, or abilities, or Pokédex entries, and their humanoid stature can't make up for some overall blandness otherwise. I'm sorry to say it, but I think our furry friends here are all style and no substance. Now for another pair of contenders who similarly share an issue in common. For a Pokemon to be the most sexy, it has to be able to sexually appeal to the largest swath of people, and that's where Pokemon with designs that have a particular gender in mind have a problem. Machamp and Salazzle, by virtue of clearly looking to appeal to the female and male gaze respectively, are not particularly inclusive. Now, 24% of Machamps are female, but considering that their genitals are covered up while their chest is not, and that Machamp was designed by a bunch of Japanese guys in the 90s, I think we can safely assume that they intended Machamp to be stereotypically male and just didn't think to mechanically implement this in Pokemon Red and Blue and then just stuck with it. Machamp can at least learn submission, suggesting that it can switch in more than just battle, but a bit of bedroom versatility doesn't negate how polarizing its overwhelming machismo will be to some potential suitors. Salazzle on the other hand is exclusively female. Only a female Salandit can evolve into Salazzle at level 33. Salazzle, as can be observed by its expression, is a very promiscuous Pokemon indeed, as its Pokédex entries reference it releasing pheromones to attract male Salandit and living with a reverse harem of them. Unfortunately, this likely means our gay and lesbian friends are excluded yet again, as are people who don't want to fuck giant lizards. Ugh. right? Free the lesbians and lizard fuckers! Salazzle can also have the oblivious ability, so she's probably either indifferent to or entirely unaware of any deeper feelings you might have for her. Fair to say, she likes the bimbo ethos, but isn't one to really commit to it. A huge tease, basically. Now let's talk about number 6, Vaporeon. Actually, let's not. Let's move on. You can Google that one. We enter the top 5 now with a shocking entry. Perhaps the Pokemon many expected to be our prime suspect for this video, but no, I regret to inform you that Gardevoir is only the 5th sexiest Pokemon. Now, Gardevoir is certainly very humanoid and does somewhat resemble some of the girls I had crushes on in school and college, although apparently this thing is capable of feeling empathy. Gardevoir is held back from being higher for a number of reasons. First of all, it's not that sexy. It's elegant, beautiful even, but there's nothing suggestive at all about this thing's appearance, and I think a lot of its notoriety in the Pokemon porking community largely comes from adolescent gamer boys seeing something that looks vaguely effeminate and going, "Woman! Woman! Oh my god, woman!" Humana, 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 awooga, awooga. And even then, don't let Gallade make you forget that Gardevoir can be male too. That's not to say it couldn't be a sexy male with its appearance, but there's nothing inherently provocative about its design. It even has that Lucario chest spike, so enjoy having an isosceles triangle-shaped hole in your back for the rest of your life. Yes, tenderness and emotional intelligence are attractive to many, but beyond that, Gardevoir hasn't any of the raw sexual magnetism we're looking for. Plus, it has Synchronize, so good luck dodging an infection. Number 4 on this list might just surprise you. In fact, it might just shadow sneak up on you. Because it's Greninja. Without even factoring in all the obvious pros it shares with other water types that we won't be going into, Greninja has a real alluring mystique. Who is this master of disguise? How did they learn the ninja way? Why are those thighs so thick? Good lord. Greninja, with all its ninjutsu and stealth skills, is clearly not shy of commitment or dedication, which are very attractive qualities in and of themselves. But then you have to look at the ability Torrent, of which you can make what you will, and even more impressively, one of the single steamiest movesets in all of Pokemon history. Lick is a fairly obvious one, though with a tongue so long he can wrap it around his neck, you'd have to think there are far less pedestrian possibilities as well. Erotic asphyxiation fans, eat your hearts out. Or eat something out, I'm a detective, not a cop. Pile on acrobatics, roleplay, hydro pump, and confide, because honesty and vulnerability are very sexy. Oh, also, it learns double team by level up. That's what I call efficiency. Number 3, I must admit, is very base, but also somewhat undeniable. It's Serena. No matter where you exist on the gender spectrum, no matter what your sexual orientation may be, it's a universal truth that everyone appreciates some junk in the trunk. "Oh, I actually prefer small butts," said literally no one ever. The people want a real wagon. Alright? A badonkadonk, if you will. An all-consuming, earth-shaking dump truck of an... Serena, like Salazzle earlier, can only be exclusively female. However, quite unlike Salazzle, nothing in its Pokedex entry suggests that it only seeks out the opposite sex. Shout out to my progressive queens. Furthermore, it very much walks the walk where Salazzle did not, and with legs like that, who can blame her? When the fuck did my life turn out like this? Serena's moveset constitutes nothing but the finest that sluttery has to offer. Captivate, swagger, aromatherapy, fling. You go get 'em, queen. But not me, because you're not real. And that would be weird. Number 2, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Well, the moment I imagine you're waiting the second most for behind the reveal of number 1, but there's some process of elimination stuff going on that I think is pretty exciting. It's Lopunny! Now, Lopunny... Listen, we've all seen Space Jam. With access to abilities like Cute Charm and Limber, and a mega form that literally features ripped tights because the designer was apparently bailed out of horny jail early, Lopunny is about as close as you can get to the full bestiality package that I don't endorse but have to do a video about. Lopunny sports a clearly humanoid design, complete with the fur that so many fans go wild about, and its moveset suggests some of the spice that earlier entries like Gardevoir were utterly lacking. Baby doll eyes, charm, play rough, encore. If you insisted on fucking a fictional animal from a Japanese children's game, you couldn't really go wrong with this one. But could you go more right? By now there's no doubt you've noticed that a lot of fan favourites have been knocked out of contention. Who could be our number 1? Is it one of the few that I haven't mentioned, like Mewtwo or Delphox? Well, I'm here to tell you that in the fans' myopic pursuit of femininity and creatures that appeal specifically to their prepubescent brains, there is a Pokemon that they've missed entirely. One with undeniable sex appeal that could entice anyone of any orientation or gender identity. One that puts so many pieces together, combining appearance with moveset and natural physical chemistry to become the one Pokemon that I believe can unite the fandom more than any other in wanting to seriously bone it. It's finally time, dear viewers, to meet our prime suspect. Our number one, what I believe I have discovered through rigorous researching and theory crafting is in fact the sexiest Pokemon of all time. And that Pokemon is Nuzleaf. Let's start with the obvious. Nuzleaf is one of only a single-digit number of Pokemon to actively have its nipples out. We've talked a lot about sexy personality traits in this video, and confidence has to take the top spot. If thick thighs do in fact save lives, Nuzleaf's sexual partners may very well be immortal. Good lord. Nuzleaf is not gendered too hard in any particular direction and can appeal to anyone of any orientation, especially with proportions like this. Kim K could never. Perhaps the only thing Nuzleaf doesn't really have going for it are abilities or Pokedex entries, but it is noted that its long nose, which I'm sure has many functions, is a weak spot and depowers Nuzleaf when pinched. So if you're tired of being the sub, you basically have an off button. Then we move to the moveset. A cornucopia of erotic maneuvers practically ripped straight from the Kama Sutra. Nuzleaf is the only Pokemon in existence that can learn the tantalizing trilogy of Harden, Growth, and Bullet Seed. The only Pokemon that come close to this holy trinity are the likes of Ferrothorn, which looks like the kind of Pokemon you'd get from Bad Dragon, and I ain't talking about Hydreigon. Oh, and this barely scratches the sexy surface. Did I mention it can also use Explosion, which alone is something no other Pokemon on this list was capable of. Have I mentioned the real-life capabilities of Nutmeg as an aphrodisiac? Look it up. Well, look up what an aphrodisiac is first, because I bet that's completely accurate. The tale of the tape tells all. There is simply no other Pokemon with the build, the moves, the wide, unbiased appeal, the real-life applications, or the raw, sexy, gravitational pull possessed by Nuzleaf. The facts are all there, plain to see. Nuzleaf is the sexiest and most sexually viable Pokemon ever conceived. There, YouTubers, I've saved you 30 minutes and 800 clicks, and perhaps more importantly, I've saved our naive young children from having to endure your crass creature canoodling any longer. Let's put this one to rest. You smash Nuzleaf, and you pass all the others. Case closed. Parents of tomorrow, you're welcome. It's just another day in the job. Man, am I excited to be put back on some less degrading cases. I'd like to see the department take issue with that. The research, the evidence, the arguments, they were all there, and I end today's investigation feeling very confident. Hang on, who is that? What's up?